Have you ever followed a plan perfectly until one bad day destroyed it? For 5 weeks, you woke up early. You trained, studied, saved, or built something before the rest of the world was awake. Then you missed once. Maybe you were exhausted. Maybe work became chaotic. Maybe life delivered a problem your beautiful schedule had never imagined. You told yourself you would continue tomorrow, but tomorrow felt different. The streak was gone. The perfect record was gone. And suddenly, one missed day began asking a much larger question. Were you ever disciplined at all? Hi, I'm Sarah, and this is WiseMind Stories. The fourth idea in the 6-month plan is that motivation will leave before the work is finished. That is not a flaw in the plan. It is the moment the real plan begins. Because the danger is rarely the day you miss. The danger is the story you tell about the day you missed. In this episode, we will explore why people abandon months of progress after one interruption, how perfectionism disguises itself as discipline, and how to build a minimum standard that survives the days when your strongest self does not arrive. To understand that moment, let's begin with Olivia. At 6:10 on a rainy Wednesday morning, Olivia Bennett opened the results of a design certification practice exam. She had scored 52%. The passing score was 80. For 39 consecutive mornings, Olivia had studied before work. She had declined late dinners, completed every assignment, and covered the wall beside her desk with small green marks, one for each day she had kept the promise. Day 39 was supposed to prove that the new Olivia had finally become consistent. Instead, the score seemed to prove that none of it was working. Olivia closed the laptop. "One morning off," she whispered. The next day, she woke at 6 and saw the empty space where the 40th green mark should have been. She felt a small resistance to opening the course. It was no longer a perfect streak. Starting again would mean confronting the failed exam. So she slept for another hour. On Friday, she promised herself she would resume on Monday. On Monday, work began early. By the following Wednesday, the course had been closed for 8 days. Olivia removed the green marks from the wall because seeing them made her feel worse. She had not only stopped studying, she had deleted the evidence that she had ever been capable of it. How quickly do you erase your progress when the latest result disappoints you? Olivia worked in customer support for a software company. She was good with frustrated people, but the work had become emotionally exhausting. She wanted to move into user experience design, where she could help fix the problems customers complained about every day. The certification was the first part of that change. Her 6-month plan had looked realistic. 90 minutes each morning, one module each week, a portfolio by month 5, applications in month 6. But every version of the plan assumed the same thing. Olivia would wake up willing. For 39 days, willingness had made the system look stronger than it was. Then the exam result removed the emotional reward. The work no longer made her feel like a future designer. It made her feel like a beginner who might fail. Motivation is a visitor. Your system has to live in the house after it leaves. 3 weeks later, Olivia met her former colleague Nia for lunch. Nia asked to see the project Olivia had been building. "I'm restructuring the plan," Olivia said. Nia smiled. "How long have you been restructuring it?" Olivia looked away. She explained the failed exam, the missed morning, and the pressure at work. "I lost momentum," she said. Nia asked, "What was your rule for a day when 90 minutes was impossible?" Olivia had no answer. "What was your rule after failing a test?" Again, no answer. "Then you didn't build a system," Nia said. "You built a test for the best version of you." That was the part Olivia had missed. Her plan had a standard for success, but no procedure for difficulty. It explained what to do on a calm Tuesday after good sleep. It had nothing to say after disappointment, illness, family stress, overtime, travel, or the ordinary emotional weather of being human. When those days arrived, Olivia interpreted the absence of instructions as personal failure. The plan had not failed because it was interrupted. It failed because interruption had never been included in its design. Nia drew 3 horizontal lines on a napkin. Beside the top line, she wrote, full. Beside the second, floor. Beside the third, return. The full version was Olivia's ideal study session. 90 minutes, phone outside the room, 1 lesson, notes, and practice. The floor version was for difficult but functional days, 20 minutes and 1 exercise. The return version was for the days when everything had broken. Open the project, read the last paragraph, and write the next visible action on a card. 5 minutes at most. Olivia frowned. 5 minutes won't get me certified. No, Nia replied. It gets you back into the room. That difference matters. The purpose of a minimum standard is not to produce maximum progress. It is to protect continuity between the person you were yesterday and the person who will work again tomorrow. Your minimum should be small enough to survive the day that tries to prove you were never serious. Many people reject small actions because they compare them with the entire goal. 10 minutes of walking seems meaningless beside the body they want. 1 page seems meaningless beside the book. $5 seems meaningless beside the debt. 1 application seems meaningless beside a new career. But on the worst day, the small action is not competing with the finish line. It is competing with disappearance. Olivia's second problem was the streak. The green marks had motivated her, but they had also created a fragile identity. I am disciplined because I never miss. Once she missed, the identity collapsed. Nia asked her to track 2 things instead. The first was completed sessions. The second was returns. A return meant Olivia had resumed within 24 hours of an interruption, even if she used the 5-minute version. The new page did not hide missed days. It made recovery visible. A streak counts perfect days. A practice counts returns. Which one are you actually trying to build? The next morning, Olivia sat at her desk for the first time in 23 days. She did not attempt 90 minutes. She opened the failed exam and reviewed 1 incorrect answer. The question involved a research method she had misunderstood. She wrote the correct principle on a card and stopped after 12 minutes. The session felt almost embarrassingly small. But that evening, the laptop no longer felt like a courtroom. The following morning, she completed 25 minutes. On Saturday, she returned to the full session. Olivia did not restart on day 1. She continued from day 40. That language changed everything. Starting over suggests the previous effort has been erased. Continuing means the interruption becomes part of the history rather than the end of it. The plan is not broken when you miss. It is broken when missing becomes your identity. During month 3, Olivia faced a harder interruption. Her team lost 2 employees, and she worked late for 6 consecutive days. The old schedule became impossible. This time, she did not pretend nothing had changed. She moved to the floor version before exhaustion made the decision for her. 20 minutes became 10. The portfolio deadline moved by 1 week. On 2 nights, she used only the return action. Her progress slowed. It did not disappear. This is where discipline is often misunderstood. Discipline is not the intensity you can display during an ideal month. It is the return you can repeat during an imperfect one. Olivia also began conducting what Nia called a friction review whenever the same failure happened twice. If she repeatedly missed mornings after late shifts, she stopped accusing herself and adjusted the schedule. If one assignment created avoidance for 3 days, she divided it into smaller questions. If her phone entered the room, it returned to the kitchen. The review asked, "What happened immediately before I stopped? Was the next action clear? Was the standard too high for the situation? What can the environment carry so willpower does not have to?" Notice what those questions do not ask. They do not ask whether Olivia is a good person. They do not ask whether she wanted it badly enough. They treat failure as information before turning it into identity. By month 5, Olivia had completed her portfolio. It was not the portfolio she had imagined during the first week. One project was weaker than she wanted. Another needed more research. But it existed. She sat for the certification exam and passed with 83%. The score mattered. The more important result happened 2 days later, when she opened her next project without waiting for a new calendar, a new streak, or a dramatic speech. Work had become something she could leave and return to. That is a more durable form of identity than perfection. So how do you build a plan that survives the death of motivation? First, create 3 versions of the behavior before you need them. What is the full version on a good day? What is the floor version on a difficult day? What is the smallest return action after everything stops? Make the return version almost impossible to misunderstand. Work on the business is not a return action. Open the proposal and write the next heading, is. Second, decide how quickly you will return. Do not wait until Monday, next month, or the next wave of inspiration. Resume within the smallest, honest window your circumstances allow. Third, track recovery as well as completion. If you missed and returned, record the return. Teach yourself that interruption is not disappearance. Finally, review repeated friction. One difficult day may be weather. The same difficult day every week is architecture. Change the hour, reduce the first step, prepare the environment, or get the support the task actually requires. Where is your current plan designed only for the strongest version of you? What tiny action would keep you connected to the work on your worst ordinary day? Which past attempt would look different if you counted every return instead of only the final interruption? Olivia kept one of the old green marks. She placed it inside the notebook beside her 3-level plan. It no longer represented a perfect streak. It reminded her that 39 days of effort did not vanish because day 40 was difficult. The plan is not broken when you miss. It is broken when missing becomes your identity. But sometimes the problem goes deeper than motivation or scheduling. Sometimes you are asking an exhausted body to produce the behavior of a fully recovered one. You call it laziness, weakness, or poor discipline, even as sleep debt, stress, and depleted energy quietly control every choice. In the next episode, we will explore why your body is not a side project inside the 6-month plan. It is the operating system beneath every other goal, and ignoring it can turn ambition into self-destruction. Because energy is not the reward you receive after becoming disciplined. It is part of the material discipline is built from. Until then, remember, you do not need another life. You may simply need another way to see this one.